Hey guys, Jeff here, and today I'm going to be installing a bike rack on the back of my van. Now, if you have a van and you like to ride bikes, you're likely looking for a bike rack. And there's a lot of different options out there, but I'm going to show you why I chose the Thule Elite Van XT bike rack for my van. Now, this rack is made specifically for Sprinter vans and Ram Promaster vans. I don't know if it'll work on Ford Transits, but it definitely will work on the Sprinters and the Promasters. So let's get into it.
We're Jeff and Lisa, and during the 2020 quarantine, we did something we thought was only a dream. We bought a Sprinter van and converted it into the ultimate road trip vehicle. On this channel, we share our van life experience, including van build how-tos, tips, hacks, and product reviews, plus van travel and lifestyle. So if you're new here, consider subscribing. The first thing you want to do is clean the surface really well because you're going to be applying an adhesive. I use mineral spirits, but you could use any kind of solvent. These are all the pieces of the rack that it comes with. It comes with everything you're going to need except for an adhesive, and they recommend using Sikaflex 252. This is a little bit difficult to find locally. I ordered it on Amazon. It was about $18 for the tube, and I'll link to the adhesive in the description. To find the location for the upper and lower crossbars, you're going to measure from the middle of the star on the Mercedes emblem, and you measure up for the newer vans 94 centimeters and down 24 centimeters. With the help of Siri, I converted that over. It was 37 inches up and then 9.5 inches down. And then they give you these little adhesive kind of clear protectors that you can put on the van, and where the brackets are going to mount so it doesn't scratch anything. I used a dry erase marker to mark the locations, and I found that it was easiest to put the marks on the opposite door next to it so that when I put the little clear adhesive, it wasn't covering that. Then I'm going to go ahead and mount these. You loosen the left side all the way so that the little clamp slides out, and then you're going to put the Sikaflex 252. You're going to want to have a pretty strong caulking gun because this stuff is really thick, and you just put a thin bead down either side of the cross member. Then you just hook the little bracket over on the outside of the door and then put it over the inside. It's best if you have an extra person to help you hold this. And then once you have it mounted, you just use an Allen wrench and you tighten it up. Then you do the same thing for the lower crossbar. You just loosen up the left side, figure out where it's going to go, put a thin bead of the Sikaflex 252 on both sides, and then you're ready to go ahead and mount that one. And again, you're just going to hook it over the outside where your mark is, and then bring it over on the inside, hook the bracket over where your mark is, and then tighten that side up. So all of the adjustment is on the inside, not on the outside. The outside, you don't adjust that.
So I messed up a little bit, got things out of order. So I want to explain to you, I've now got this part on. What you are supposed to do is put on the top piece, let it sit for 12 hours, and then hook this onto it. It's got a couple little T-nut screws that it just kind of hooks over, and then that's going to give you the distance where this should be. So I mounted this and this, and I was thinking, then I waited 12 hours. Fortunately, I realized early enough that I needed to put this on because this gives you the distance from that cross member to this one. And so I had to adjust mine about 1/2 inch. Luckily, I did it while the glue was still setting. And so what you want to do, like I said, put the top piece on, wait 12 hours, hook this on, and then glue this piece on, and you'll get the right distance. So now that I've got this part on, now I can just go ahead and connect the rest of the pieces, the tray for the bikes and the locks and things. So I'll show you how that goes. So there are 3 different sets of holes where you can mount your bike, the tray for the bikes. There's one here, and one here. I'm going to use the middle one, but I figured this middle one is probably going to be, you know, pretty easy to lift the bikes onto, but high enough to keep them out of the way. The high one, if you use the high one, your bikes are going to be sticking out above the top and probably block the backup camera. And so I'm not going to use that one. It'd be really difficult, I think, to get your bikes up onto there too. So I think the middle one's a nice compromise. That's what I'm going to start with. So this is the tray, and there's just a couple of screws that go through here. So this is going to sit up here, and there's these screws, bolts that go through, and then there's these little plastic bushings, because this will pivot up and down, and so these bushings help it to pivot. So they will go into these holes like that, and that's going to help it to pivot more easily and to slide. So these 4 bushings just go on the inside of these brackets. Okay, so once you got those in, pushed in all the way.
The rack comes with these plastic covers that go over the metal bracket, and you just pop those on and they lock together, and then you put the bolt through there and the nut and tighten it up. I had to give it a little extra help to get it through, and then just tighten it down, and then just do the same thing on the other side. Then the last thing is to put the locking arms on. The shorter one goes for the inside bike, and that one's going to go to the right. And they just kind of, there's a little bracket, you slide it down and they clamp on. And then the longer one goes on the inside of the van. That's going to go for the outside bike. And then lift those up out of place. You can adjust that arm to adjust it for the distance that the bikes are away from the van. So you want to do it so that the handlebars aren't touching. So I just lifted it up out of the way, put the bikes on, and then once you get the bike on, the first one, there's little straps that lock the tires down that have kind of a ratchet. They're really nice. And then you're going to put the shorter arm across that one and tighten it down. And then you put the second bike on, and you point them in opposite directions, and then you have the longer arm, locking arm, goes over that one. And you just turn those to tighten them down, and then there's a key that just locks them. So it's really nice. I wouldn't say they're 100% secure. You might want to have another type of lock just to be safe, but they're pretty good. The clamps and the keys, I think it's nice that it comes with those, and they're pretty good if you have inexpensive bikes, I think.
So overall, I really like this bike rack. I think it's probably one of the best choices for a van. You know, there are several options. This one is, I would say, one of the least expensive. This rack is about $650. The other options are a hitch rack. But if you do that, if you don't have a hitch, you got to buy one, which is about $200. And then most of the hitch racks that swing down are around $500 or $600 or $700. So you're going to be into that close to $1,000, maybe $800 to $1,000. The problem with the hitch racks that swing down is, from what I hear from most people, you really can't swing it down and get it out of the way of the doors without taking the bikes off. So it becomes kind of cumbersome. Another option is they have an arm that will swing out, and it goes into your hitch, and then has an arm with a hinge on it, and you can swing the whole thing out with the bikes. And that's really pretty slick, and that's the one I was considering until I found this one. Problem with that is, again, they're down low, so someone can bump into you and hit your bikes, or you can back into something. Also, again, it's pretty expensive. You got to have the hitch. Then the arms are about $300 to $400, and then you've got to have the hitch that attaches to it. So you're into that probably $1,000 to $1,200. There's other options that are pretty cool where you have the ladder and the wheel, and then on the other side you have a tray. You could have a box and a tray with your bike sit above it. But that's going to be, you're into that a couple $1,000s or more, depending on what options you go with. Anywhere from probably $1,500 up to like $3,000. But if you want a really nice rack that you know, folds up and out of the way, and is really sturdy, has locks built in. I think this is a great option, you know, for more of a casual biker like I am. I'm not a hardcore biker, but for me, I think this is a great option. A couple of things I really like about it is I can open my doors all the way. Now, I don't have the 270-degree hinges on my doors. They only open, you know, out like this. But with it on the middle, set of holes, it's just high enough that it doesn't hit my head. I can go ahead and open the door without everything hitting me. I might have to duck just a little bit. And I can open it. I can swing it all the way open. I did have to adjust the tray so that it wouldn't. I've got about an inch of clearance, so it won't hit the van. So I can open my doors all the way, even with the bikes on there. When I'm not using, I can fold it up out of the way. And it's really very sturdy when it's folded up. It has this strap to hold everything. I like that it has the locks built in, so you don't have to buy additional locks, although you might want to buy some kind of a lock to tie the bikes together. But the bikes don't rattle around. It keeps the bikes away from the van. You can adjust the arm, the upper arm, so that it sets the bikes however far from the top of the van you want. So like I kept about an inch of clearance between the handlebar and the van, so it wouldn't bump into that. So, and the bikes don't rub against each other. So I think it's a really nice option for 650 bucks. I think you can't go wrong with this, and I highly recommend it. Let me know what you think in the comments. If you've tried this, if you've considered others, then I'd love to hear from you. Love to hear what's working for you, and we'll see you in the next video.